This is the website training for the DotNetNuke content management system for Keyano College. And today we will be going over the basic management and editing functionality of the system. The first thing you guys are going to do is scroll all the way to the bottom of the website. And in the lower right hand corner, you're going to see a login button. So you want to click login. And then the next thing you're going to do is make sure you're on Windows login. So make sure you're on that tab. Your username is going to be Keyano / and then your typical username that you log into the computer with. Password is your same password that you use to log into the computer with. Once you are logged in, at the very bottom, you will see your name listed there. Is everybody able to log in? So make sure you're on the Windows login tab. That's most important. So it's Keyano / which is the one above the enter key. And then your username, which is your first name dot your last name. And then whatever your normal network password is. Everyone else back there get logged in? Yes. Okay, let's look at a few usernames. We may have some spelling issues. Okay, so once you're logged in, like I said, you'll see your name at the bottom, so you know that you're logged in. Now you should go to a section that you think you should have access to edit. So Con Ed, and let's see, we've got a bookstore in here, a theater, trades area. So whatever section you're going to be responsible for, you can go to that section. You can log into the website on any page. So you'll always be able to log in at the bottom lower right hand corner. When you get to a section that you think you have access to edit, you should see this gray toolbar at the top. You'll see admin and pages. Those will be the two that you see. Does everyone have access to edit something? Okay, good.
Yes.
And what was your name?
Carrie. Okay.
Ferguson?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just make sure. Okay, so the gray toolbar at the top, that gives you an indication that you are logged in and have access to edit that particular page. The one thing I want to bring your attention to right now is under admin. If you put your mouse over the admin in the gray toolbar and go to docs, this is where the documentation lives. I said this will be updated frequently as we add new functionality to the website and as we update the user manual. So if you lose this printed copy, this is where the user manual is, and as we update it, I'll put the date in parentheses to let you know that it was updated. So those departments that have special functionality, like if you have a photo gallery or the events registration module, there's also documentation in here for you. So this is an important area to remember. The other function in the gray toolbar I want to bring your attention to is this mode drop-down list in the upper right-hand corner. If you come to the website and you're missing those editing tools, like this little pencil and wheel and plus sign, you don't see those, that means you're in view mode. So in order to edit the website, you always have to be in edit mode. So this is just something to double check if you don't see the tools that you're looking for. So let's look at the actual structure of the website. Up here above the gray menu bar, this header area, no one has access to edit it. That's part of the template. So this will be consistent on every single one of your web pages. The next section is what we call our top pane, which is where all the banners are. Each department has their own banner with their unique image. And then we have our breadcrumbs. And then the main section of the website, over here on the left, we call it the left pane. And it always contains the side menu. You do not need to change anything in the side menu. This will automatically update as you add or delete new pages. So this is there and it will automatically update, so you'll never have to edit that area. Same goes with the share button. The share button is put on every single page of the website. It's your social media tools. And it also has the ability to email and print the page. So that's on every page of the website too. You do have the ability to add another area down on the left side. If you wanted to add, I know theater has their social media icons on the left hand side because they wanted them on every page of the theater section to have the social media icon. So you do have that ability to add another section on that left hand side. Then we have this middle area called the content pane. This is where you're going to be spending 99% of your time, editing the text of your website. And then at the bottom we have the footer area, which again is part of the template, and that there's nothing that you can edit down there. So that's the main breakdown of a web page on your site, and they're all consistent. They all have the same look and feel and template. So let's actually get into the managing of a page. So what you're going to be doing, like I said, 99% of the time is editing a web page, editing the text on the page. So how do we do that? In the content section here, you're going to mouse over the little pencil icon, and you're going to choose Edit Content. Now we have the editor window open. The first thing is this line here. It says Basic Text Box or Rich Text Editor. If you ever come to the website and you don't see the nice GUI interface, you just see this, just click over to the Rich Text Editor, and that will bring your nice icons back up. This should look a lot like Microsoft Word. It's got pretty much the exact same functionality in it. So what we're going to do is go through the toolbar and show you how you're going to be managing the content of your page. First button is spell check. I can't stress enough to make sure you spell check your page once you're done making changes. We corrected a lot of spelling errors. It just has a negative impact on the college if there's spelling errors all over your page. So you want to make sure you spell check the page when you're done making changes. You have the find and replace. If you have a long page, you might be able to replace a word throughout the page. Otherwise, most of them are pretty short, so you might not need to use that tool. You have your cut and copy. Pretty self-explanatory, same as Word. The next one is paste as plain text. That we always want to do. So if I clicked on, let's say I've copied something from Word and I want to paste it on the website. I clicked on paste as plain text. If you're using Internet Explorer, you will always get this pop-up. Just click allow access. If you're using any of the other browsers, you will not get this pop-up. So I clicked allow access. And of course, I didn't copy anything, so let me just copy something. And now it pasted it in there as plain text for me. Why do we want to use paste as plain text? In Microsoft Word or on another web page if you're copying from, there's code behind the scenes. You can't see that code, I can't see the code, it's there. And as soon as you copy it into your web page, all that code is going to actually do something. It's going to change the font styles on the page. It might change the color of the page. Depending on what you copied, it could change the entire layout of the page. I've seen that happen. So what we always want to make sure we do is we're stripping all that code out and we just have the text that we want to put on our web page. So that's why we always use paste as plain text. It strips everything out and we know we're starting from scratch on a clean slate, which is what I copied and pasted some lines of the phone directory here. It's all just plain text at the moment. So the next item on the toolbar is your undo and redo. Again, same as Word. Next thing we're going to look at is where we get into kind of the important areas. Inserting images. works similar to Microsoft Word. Put your cursor wherever you think you want the image. And we're going to click on the image manager, which looks like the mountain in the sunshine. And it's going to bring up our image manager window. Now when we look at this window, it automatically puts you into the images folder for the website. Most of your departments already have a folder created for you that you can start using. If you don't see your department folder in here, we'll just create one for you. We want to make sure that everybody's putting images in their own folder so that they don't overwrite somebody else's or accidentally delete somebody else's files. So while you're in here, why don't you just click on your department folder. What you see is the images we've already uploaded to your section of the website. You are welcome to create more folders within your folder. So I'm one that I like to keep things nice and organized and have multiple folder structures. So if you would like to create a folder within your department's folder, you just click on this icon that looks like a folder and a green plus sign, and it will ask you for the folder name. So you would type the folder name, and I'm going to click OK, and now it just created a new folder under the athletics department. Let's say I don't want that folder anymore, or I don't want an image. I just click on it and I can hit the delete button, which is the red X. It asks me, are you sure you want to do this? And I say OK. Upload button. Yes?
We don't have one for training, so let's try to create one.
Okay. I will create one right now for you.
Same for HR.
Okay.
Same for bookstore.
Yeah, sometimes your pages were just plain text, so we really didn't have the need to have a folder yet. Oops.
So the picture that we have on for HR,
Mm-hmm.
we would like to change it.
Are you talking about the banner?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we need to use a different photo.
All right, that's something that has to go through one of the Renees. Yeah. Pick a Renee, and let's change that. So bookstore needed a folder. Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
I have the folder, but when I tried making a new one, add it to it, I can't.
Yes, we haven't done all the permissions yet for images or documents yet. So that is on the list for tonight. So let's look at, okay, once you're in your folder, you want to upload a image from your computer. Click on the upload button and then hit the select button, and you'll be able to browse your computer, locate the image, and once you locate it, you would just click OK, and it would show up right here. Couple of words about images. Images that come off of digital cameras are generally too big. You think most digital cameras, you're going to have an image that's a 5x7 or an 8x10. Obviously that's way too big for a website. Really would prefer that you put the image into a graphics program and resize it. Graphics programs, you probably have Microsoft Photo Editor on your machine.
We prefer that none of you do that and ask us to do it.
Okay.
If you have photos, we can clean them up.
Okay. The functionality is out there. Once you have the photo selected, you do have a 3 megabyte limit to uploading files. If the image that you try to upload is bigger than that, you will get a message saying the file is too large. Please resize it. Once you had your image selected, you will click upload. As soon as you click upload, the picture will show in your list. So I'm just going to click on one of the pictures, and it gives you a preview. The next thing you're going to do is click on the Properties tab. The Properties tab was going to give you some basic information. Right away I can see this image is way too big. So we have a couple options. Again, you can send it to Renee to resize. There's also an image editor right up here that will allow you to crop or resize. If it's just something you need to tweak a little bit, you click on this. Right now it's an open chain link. Click on it to make it closed, which links everything, and you can easily change the width of the image, and it does it proportionally. So if you ever go to a website and you see those distorted faces that are really long or really smushed in, resizing a picture proportionally will prevent that from happening. So one of the most important things is the alt text. We want to make sure that something descriptive is in there. And the best way to think about that is pretend you can't view that image. What words would help you describe what that image is? Reason why we put this in, anyone coming to your website with a screen reader, that screen reader will read this alt text to them, because obviously they can't see the image, but it will read this alt text so that they know what is there. So putting the word logo, not really going to help somebody who's visually impaired. Put a couple of words. The example we were using is, say we've got a picture of a couple of people sitting in a library. So I would put students studying in the Keyano College library. So you've got a description of the picture, but then you also have a couple of key words in there. You have Keyano College and library. Because search engines look at your alt tags, and that helps your search engine ranking. So you've got two reasons to fill in those alt tags. One for your visually impaired users, and also for the search engines. So you always want to make sure that there's something descriptive in here. The next thing you're going to look at is image alignment. Think of when you're in Microsoft Word and you have an image off to the right side and you have text wrapping around it. That is image alignment. So here you can choose, do you want the image on the left side of the page or the right side of the page? And we'll put the text wrapping around that image. Most of your images are off on the right side of the page. So I'm going to click the right alignment button. And then in this margin area, I'm going to put left equals 5. What that is, think when you're on a website and you have an image and you have the text. If the text is butt up right against that image, it's kind of hard to read. There's not that clear distinction between where the text stops and where that image stops. So what we do is we put 5 pixels of padding in between where the text stops and where the image starts. So there's white space. And it just gives that end user that ever so slightly visual clue and dividing where the text stops and where the image starts. So same thing, if you did image align to the left, you would put 5 in right. So you just kind of reverse the concept. So once I have all this filled out, I click insert, and now I have an image off to the right side of my page and the text is wrapping right around it. With images, we don't want to use bitmaps. They're just not high quality for the website. We don't want to use Microsoft clip art. First of all, it's copyright issues. Second of all, it's just not good quality. So stick to your JPEGs, your GIFs, or your PNGs. Those are the quality for a website. Don't go just grabbing a picture off the internet. There's copyright rules. You do not want to be in copyright violation. That's becoming really popular these days, is to start suing people for copyright violation of them just grabbing images off somebody else's website. So you guys have a great repository of images, so utilize that if you need something. There's also stock photography websites that you can usually get them for $1 or $2. Utilize that stuff. Just don't go grabbing. It's not worth grabbing somebody else's image and getting into a lawsuit over copyright violations. So just utilize either your photo repository or some purchased stock photography. I don't think it really applies to anybody in here, but just in case, if you have kids in your photos, try to stay away from that. If kids are in the photos, you have to get parental written consent to use them on the website or social media. So if you can, just avoid having kids in any of your images. So it'll save you the hassle of getting consent from their parents. Okay, and just like in Microsoft Word, if you decide you want to change the location of the image, you can just drag and drop it and move it around the page. If you want to go back and change the image from being right aligned, say left aligned, or you want to change the alt text, you can right click on the image and go to properties. So now you can get back to the same screen you were on and make some adjustments. You can also link images. So if, like on the theater, I know you've got some sponsorship logos. If you want to link those logos to the business's website, you'll be able to do that just by clicking on the image and going to the hyperlink manager, which I'll show you in a second. So you can link images too. Any questions on images so far? General rule of thumb with images too, for size-wise, which is in the user documentation, 300 pixels wide is usually kind of our rule for putting images on a web page just like this is. You get it much bigger, it's taking up probably more than half your web page or your entire web page. So we usually say about 300 pixels for images that are going to be on a web page with text wrapping around it. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is linking. There are 4 types of links. We have links to documents, we have links to an external website, we have links to an internal website, and then we have email links. So there's 4 different types of links that we're going to look at. The first one is going to be, how do we link to a document? You guys have lots of PDFs that you put up on your website and are probably going to be adding more as time goes on. When we link to a document, we do not want to use click here. Click here is something we used in the beginning days of the web because people were still learning and we didn't know to, if it was a change color, it was bold, and it put an underline under it. We didn't understand that was a link and we needed to click here. Now that everybody's well versed in the web, we do not need to put click here on the website. So we don't want to use that terminology. What we want to use is the actual words of the document. So I was using view book as an example. So I don't need to say click here to view the view book. I just put view book, and then we'll have a little icon after it to show that this is going to be a document when they click on it. So again, never use click here. So I've got the words view book. I'm just going to highlight them, and now I'm going to go to my document manager, which is the piece of paper with the paper clip. So I'm going to click on that icon. It's going to look exactly the same as the image manager did. So again, every department should have a folder, and if they're not there, we can create them afterwards for you. So you're going to go to your particular folder for your department. Again, like I said, it works the same way. You can create new folders. I would strongly suggest if you've got PDFs that you're uploading that are year sensitive, like the expense reports. They have a bunch of expense reports for every year. Create a folder for every year so that you can find them much easier. And the other thing with file names that we did notice in migrating your content, no special characters. So no commas, no plus signs, no ampersands, percentage sign, parentheses, no special characters. Stick to letters and numbers only. Special characters actually have meaning in website coding, so sometimes they can just cause a lot of problems on your website. So if you have files that have special characters in them, rename them before you actually upload them to the website. The other thing I would suggest, just because I've experienced this before, put some dates on your files of when you uploaded it. I always use the date stamp, 08/16/2013. So August 16th, 2013. This way, when you go back 6 months, a year from now, you know what that document is. You know when it was uploaded, you know what it related to. So just try to be descriptive. It really helps down the line when you're trying to find something. So I've got a couple files here. If I needed to upload a file, again, the same thing. I click on the upload button, I hit select, locate whatever document I'm going to upload. Here you have a 30 meg limit. That's really kind of pushing it to being a little bit too large. I would strongly suggest keeping your files under 5 megs. After that, people on mobile devices or that have a slow internet connection, it's really going to take a while to download. So try to keep them under 5 megs. And as far as what type of documents to upload, strongly suggest only upload PDF files. There are so many different versions of Microsoft Office out there. Like you guys are running 2010. Anybody who's running Word or Office 2003 cannot open Office 2007 or 2010 documents. So, and a lot of home users still have 2003 on their home computers. So we need to be aware of that. Just because the business world has the latest and greatest technology, the home users don't. So to avoid the problem of someone calling saying, hey, I can't open up your documents that are on your website, put them in a PDF file. So this way if they're on a mobile device, Mac versus PC, no matter what flavor of Office they have, they're going to be able to open it. So always try to upload just PDF files. Once you have your file selected, you just hit upload and it will show in the list here. I'm going to click on it so it brings up another screen on the right hand side. When we're linking to documents, we always want to do target equals new window. The reason for this, have you ever been to a website and you clicked on a link and it opened up a PDF file, finished with the PDF file, you closed it, your website was gone. So now you're back starting to figure out, okay, what website was I on, where was I in the website? We want to make sure that the documents open up in a new tab or a new window so that your website is always there. Not everybody pays attention to where they are on their browser to know if they're closing your website or if they're closing the PDF file. So any documents, always target equals new window. Once you have that, we click insert. So now the word view book, if I clicked on it, would open up that PDF file. The other thing that we've been doing throughout your website when we migrated it is anything that was a PDF file, we added that little PDF icon. So again, it's just a visual clue for the end user to know what they're clicking on. So to add that little PDF icon, I'm just at the end of my words here. I'm going to go to the image manager. And right in that images folder, you scroll down a little bit, you'll see we've already got a Word icon and a PDF icon there that you can use. So I'm just going to click on the PDF icon. I'm going to go to properties and I'm going to, for alt text, I'm going to put PDF. I don't need to do anything else on this screen because it's just going to be at the end of that Word view book. Once I have that, I just click insert. So now the end user clearly knows I'm going to go to the view book and this is a PDF file. Again, like I said, just a visual clue that helps users. Especially with all the mobile devices now, if somebody has a limited data plan, they don't want to be opening up a really large PDF on their phone or mobile device, so it kind of gives them a little clue of what to expect. So the next type of link we're going to look at is external link. So a lot of you have links to businesses, business websites, other college resource websites in your section. So how do we link to the external website? Again, I'm going to highlight some words. We don't want to use click here or go here to view something. Just put the name. So if you wanted to link to, let's say, well, I'll use Google as an example. I wanted these words to link to google.com. I would just put Google and highlight those words. Click on the hyperlink manager. And in the URL area, that's where you're going to put that external website address. I would strongly suggest just going to that website in another tab, copying the website address, pasting it in here. It eliminates the chance of any typos. If you're going to actually type the address in here, you have to make sure that the http:// stays there, and then you can just type the address. If you copy and paste, it will automatically put that HTTP in there for you. As with documents, we want to make sure that it opens, when a user clicks on this link, that it opens in a new window or a new tab, because we don't want to lose our website. So for target, we're going to choose new window. Once we have the URL and the target filled in, I'm going to click OK. So now those words are linked to google.com, which is an external link. Next, we're going to look at internal links. So I'm going to link Keyano College to a page within the Keyano College website. So it's a page that's already on your website. So I highlighted the words. I'm going to go back to the hyperlink manager. This time, I'm going to look in the page drop-down list. This will show you every page on your website. So then you just need to locate the page you want to link to. I know on a lot of your department pages, you link to other sections of the website or other pages within your department. So this internal linking happens quite a bit on the site. So you'll just scroll down, locate the page you want to link to. You'll see it there, and we're just going to hit OK. So now the words here, Keyano College, is linking to Sports and Wellness Center's website. So that's an internal link. Any questions so far?
Is there any benefit in doing it to an internal link versus the way that you do the rest of them, where you just copy and paste them?
The only benefit is if you change the name of a page, it will automatically update it, versus you actually typing it in just like you would for an external link. Okay. All right, the last link we're going to look at is email. There's a lot of contact us pages on most of your department pages that will have person's name, person's phone number, person's email address. So just to give you an example, I even type my own phone number. Okay. So just say this happens to be a listing on one of your websites. The one thing I'm going to suggest, if you have a directory, kind of like what I just typed up here, we don't want to put the person's email address like this. Instead, we want to hyperlink their name. The reason why we do this, it's really easy for spammers to go down and scan a page and grab somebody's email address that's right there in plain text on a web page. If we actually hyperlink the name instead of typing it out on the page, it makes it a little bit more difficult. It's not foolproof, but it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult for spammers to steal email addresses. So in this case, what I would do is I'm actually going to delete that line. I'm going to highlight my name. I'm going to go back to the hyperlink manager. I'm going to go to the email tab. And under address, I'm just going to type the email address. That's all I need to put in here. If you want to suggest a subject to the person, you're welcome to do it, but you do not need to fill in the subject. So once I have the email address in there, I'm going to click OK. And now when somebody clicks on my name, it will open up their email program and they can type an email to me. For those of you that have generic department emails, like theater@keyano.ca, that you pretty much don't have a choice. You're going to have to type out the email address right on the website. That's kind of why we do generic emails. If they get really hit with spam, we can always change those emails versus a personal email. So we just looked at 4 types of links. We had an external link, we had an internal link, we had a link to a document, and we had an email link. Questions? Nothing?
For the first one, the document.
Yes.
When you click the file, because you added quite a bit files in your file already, folder already.
Yes.
But to save the file or a PDF file, how do I do that?
So let's say you got a Word document.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that I want to have PDF in the folder.
Yes. You got a Word document that you're open and working on, and then if you go to print, you should be able to print to a PDF file.
Okay.
That should be you'll just have, instead of like file print and you'll see your normal printer, you just change that printer name to print to PDF file. A lot of times you'll see print to Adobe PDF file, or it might just say print to PDF file. So you just print it to PDF file. It's going to ask you where to save the document. Save it wherever you want, and then you would upload the PDF file to the website. Any other questions about links or documents? Okay. All right, so let's go back to the editor window. The one button we skipped over was this little play button, which is the blue circle with the play arrow in it. That is for your YouTube videos. Now, a number of your sites have YouTube videos embedded right on them, and you'll probably in the future want to make more use of YouTube videos. So I'm actually going to go to Keyano's YouTube site and show you how to put a YouTube video on here. Okay, so I'm just going to Keyano's YouTube site. thinking for a minute. Okay. Doesn't matter which video, so you either have a video already uploaded or you ask them to upload it. So I'm just going to pick this first video, a ViewBook one. So I'm on the actual video page.
Have you thought about
that? So we're on the video page, and the video page gives you a number of sharing options. So I'm going to click on this share button. By clicking on the share button, I get more options. I've got share this video, I've got embed, and I have email. For the website, we're going to click on the embed option. This will give us some code. By default, the video is 560 pixels wide, which is going to be majority of your web page. Most of the videos I think that we migrated over are this size, so you can stick with this size, or if you wanted to make it smaller, you could use a custom size and make it whatever width that you actually wanted. Sometimes people like little thumbnails and are going to have a bunch of them on the page instead of this big huge video. So you can make it whatever size you choose. Once you've got the size appropriate, YouTube will automatically update the code for you. All you have to do is copy the code, and then back on your page that you were editing, I had clicked on the YouTube icon, and under embed code, I would just paste the code right in here. Once I had the code in here, I would hit save, and then the video would actually show up on our web page. And it's not going to start automatically playing like it does on YouTube, which is a good thing. They'll have the video, and then it'll have the little play button right in the middle, so people can. So if you have a page that has 4 or 5 videos on it, they'll just have a list of the videos, and then the little play buttons will be right in the middle of the video, so they can play the ones that they would like to play. So that's something that moving forward, that everybody should kind of look into, start utilizing. People really like hearing personal testimonials, like for the Con Ed or corporate services. Those are great to have business people that have gone through the courses give a little personal testimonial, or students give a little personal testimonial of why Keyano is so great. So it's something that you can really spruce up your website by putting some of these short video clips on there. So that's the video. This media manager will look the same like the documents and the image manager did. That is for if you had podcasts that you wanted to upload. It would put the podcast on your page. Next thing we're going to look at is the symbol, which looks like the little horseshoe. A lot of times we need copyright symbols or trademark symbols. We can just click on whatever symbol we want, and it will automatically put in the symbol for us. So there's a lot of different ones that you might utilize in here. Next we have tables. Tables are something we want to use very sparingly for a number of reasons. As HTML for the web develops and moves forward, they're actually doing away with tables. So that's something, in a couple years from now, tables won't even be supported on the website. So we want to try to use them sparingly. They also don't work great on mobile devices. They don't shrink down very well and expand very well. So mobile devices, it will be a little bit more difficult to read the tables. I know sections like Con Ed, there's just no other way to deal with your course schedules but to put them in a table. So that's something we're just going to have to keep dealing with. But for everybody else, unless it's going to be tabular data, so think of anything that you would put in Microsoft Excel, that's tabular data, and we could put it in a table on a website. Otherwise, just try to stay away from the tables. To insert a table, works the same way as Microsoft Word. Just move your cursor over however many rows and columns you want. Click on it, and it will put your table in. As you start typing, it will expand and grow with the text that's in your table. Just for the benefit of Con Ed, to show you how we did their tables, the top first row was gray, so it showed that was the heading of the table, basically. So in order to make like that one top row gray, I would just click in one of the cells. I right-clicked, and I go to Cell Properties. Here I see my table. I'm just going to click, and then I'm going to do control click for the rest of them. And then I can choose background color equals gray. Hit OK, and now that first row is got a gray background. So you can do some formatting on the tables to make them look a little bit nicer. The next ones we get into is pretty much your Microsoft Word editing tools. We have bold and italic. Which one's missing? There's a button missing that's in Microsoft Word.
Underline.
Yes. Why?
Probably draw it instead.
You could. There's another reason.
Make hyperlink?
Yes. The underline button is not here because if you see something underlined on a web, you instantly think you can click on it. So you got people sitting there trying to click on words that are not actually a hyperlink. So and then you get the phone call, your website's broken. So we just remove the button so you're not tempted to utilize that at all. So we do have bold and italic, and just like Microsoft Word, you highlight the words, you click bold, you click italic. We do not want to use these a lot. Bold is meant to emphasize something. So if you have an entire page that's bold or an entire paragraph that's bold, it loses that importance because everything is bold now, so what's actually important? The other reason we don't want to use bold a lot is screen readers are actually yelling at the person when they read something in bold. So if you have an entire page that's bolded, that screen reader is yelling at that person for the entire page. So we don't want to offend any of our visually impaired users, so we just bold a couple of words, bold a section heading, but we do not want to use it in excess. Italics we don't want to use a lot just for the fact it's hard to read on a website. It's great for print materials, but on a website it is more difficult to read, especially with mobile devices. It's even harder to read italics. So we try not to use italics unless maybe a quote that you want to italicize, but try to use that sparingly. The next two buttons are your Subscript and Superscript, kind of self-explanatory. The indent and outdent, I'm going to skip for a minute because they apply really to bullets. So let's look at bulleted lists. Bullets are great on a website. People do not read on a website, they skim. They just, in our fast-paced world, people don't want to sit there and read a lot of text. So one of the suggestions I have for you guys as you start looking at your web pages, some of you have very long web pages. Go back and reread them. See if there's something you can create a bulleted list instead of the long paragraphs. People are going to absorb that much better than lengthy paragraphs. Like I said, they don't read, they like to skim down lists, and that they will actually get the information much better than actually having to read multiple paragraphs. So just see if you can tweak your text a little bit on your web pages. So let's look at how do we insert bullets. Very similar to how we do in Microsoft Word. I just type 2 lines here. I can highlight them and click on the bullet icon, and it will make it a bulleted list. At the end of the line, I can just hit return, and it's going to give me another bullet. So same way that Microsoft Word does. The one difference between Microsoft Word and the web as far as bullets, when you're in Microsoft Word, you can just hit tab if you want a sub-bullet. There's no tab on a website. It just doesn't exist. So if you want a sub-bullet on a website, I just click on the line that I want to be a sub-bullet, and I'm going to click the indent button. So indent is your tab on the web. So now I have a sub-bullet. And you can have as many layers or levels as you want. You can have sub-bullets of sub-bullets. I say just don't go too crazy with it because it gets really hard to read. But 2 or 3 layers is probably where I would say is enough. If you want to undo a sub-bullet, let's say I don't want this 3rd layer, I click the outdent, and the outdent brings it back to the previous level. I could change, right now these are just little square icons. Let's say I wanted this to be a numbered bulleted list. I would just highlight it, click on the number bulleted list, and now it's just converted everything to numbers instead of the squares. So again, bullets are great for organizing content, for lists of documents. Have them in a bulleted list. The next one, convert to lowercase. We use this a lot when migrating the content of the website. What would you think if you got an email that was written all in caps? What's your first thought?
He's upset.
Yes, the person's aggravated with something and is kind of yelling at you. Same concept on a website. We don't want to use all caps because it's just like you're yelling at somebody, and we don't want to offend our users. So we never use all caps on a website. If you happen to find words that are all in caps, or if you're copying and pasting from something that is in caps, you can highlight it and click on this convert to lowercase, and it will automatically convert everything to lowercase letters. So I'll just highlight that, click convert to lowercase, I'm done. So it makes it real easy to convert anything you find in all uppercase to lowercase letters. So that's just a kind of a web rule, no all uppercase letters. Okay, the next line, we have our image or our alignment. By default, everything on your website is left aligned. That's kind of the industry standard, is people like everything left aligned and they read left to right. People don't like centered pages, everything being centered. It's just harder to read, and on mobile devices it gets even more distorted. So by default, everything's left justified. You don't need to do anything. If you want a couple of things centered, like I know some of you have your department address at the bottom of pages and it's centered, what I would do is just highlight the text that I want centered and just click on the center button, and now we have the text centered. Okay, if you're going to center something, small amounts of text. Do not center the entire page. Even paragraphs centered are harder to read, so try to keep it to a minimum that we use this centered. Same goes for the right justified. Most of the time, there's really no reason to write justify on a website, but keep it to a minimum if you do. The next drop down. I think in Microsoft Word you have your heading tags, and that's how you create sections on a long document. They're bigger, they're bolder. Exact same thing on a website. So if you've got a long page on a website, we don't want just straight text. You need to break it up a little bit and have some visual clues that there's different information on this page. So let's say this was the kind of a section heading title, and I want it bigger and bolder so it stands out. So I just highlighted it, and I'm going to choose heading 2. Automatically put some more spacing around it, makes it bigger, makes it bolder. Besides from visual clues for the end user to make it easier, your search engines, they look at heading tags and say anything that's in a heading tag, it's more important text on a website. So it gives you more, I call it points in ranking your website. So it's a good idea to use heading tags because that will also help your search engine ranking. When we migrated your website, we started developing kind of our own our style guide for the site. All your section headings are heading 2. So we would suggest going forward as you create sections within a page to continue using heading 2 as your section heading tag. So it'll just keep it standard and the same as the rest of the pages. Any questions so far? Okay, keep going then. For those of you more technically advanced or like playing with HTML, on the bottom of your editor window, there is an HTML button that you can click on. If you want to go in and fuss with the code, you're welcome to tweak the HTML code that's in here. So you can click over to the HTML view. You get back, just click on the design view, and you're back seeing everything. If we scroll down a little bit more, we have our save button, we have preview, and we have cancel. I would strongly suggest before you save your changes that you always preview them. This will show you exactly what your website is going to look like prior to hitting save. So this way you can kind of get a heads up if something's not going to look right or is a little distorted. So we get a great view of what it's going to look like here. We scroll down a little bit more, there's version history. This does come in handy for a number of reasons. Say you saved a page and it's just totally not what you want, or your boss comes back and says, nope, go back to the old way, this is not how I want it. You can go back and restore the previous version. So in this version history, right now we have it saving the last 5 versions of the page. It will tell you the date and the time that the page was saved, who saved it, and this is why we always stress never let anyone else log into the website with your username and password. Because this is an audit trail, it will tell us exactly who changed this page and when. So if somebody did something inappropriate and your username is listed there, it's coming back onto you because it's your username. So you never want to share that username and password with anyone. Go down a little bit farther, this magnifying glass, that will allow you to preview the page before you actually restore it, so you can make sure you're restoring the right page. Once you've determined which version of the page you want to actually restore, you just click on the little green undo button and it will restore that page for you back to the previous version. This also comes in handy. I've seen you want your home page of your section. It's a big event coming up next week, so you want to change your home page. It's all about this event coming up. But then once the event's done, you want to go back to your old home page. You can very easily just restore that. So you don't have to redo the page. You just go back to the version history, restore the previous version before that big event, and you're done. So it's a time saver too. So if we were set to save the changes, which I would strongly suggest most of you hit cancel, obviously this is not what we want to be saving. If you were ready to save and you were happy with your changes, you would just hit save. Your changes are live instantly. So keep that in mind. As soon as you hit save, it's live to the public. So I'm actually going to hit cancel here, because I definitely don't want those changes up. Once you make the changes and you save your page, please check them out to make sure it's what you planned on. Just give it a glance, make sure everything is exactly the way you want it and nothing's out of the ordinary. A great example of that we had Monday when I was coming here. Got off my flight, got here, and they're like, somebody put text and it's on every single page of the website. So, but they would have noticed that if they had actually gone and checked, after they hit that save button, they would have seen that, okay, this is in the wrong section of the website and it's on every page of the website now. So just make sure you're double checking, that you're conscious of what you're saving and where you're doing changes. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So that was what you're going to do probably 95% of the time, is just getting in there, changing content. The next thing we're going to look at is some other functionality that you might do every so often. So the first thing I want to look at is this title right here. We just went through and we changed the text on the page, but we didn't see this title anywhere in there. This is what we call a module title. So we need to go in a different way and change this. So if I want to change this module title, I'm going to go over to this little wheel and I'm going to click Settings. So now we're in the module settings. I'm on that module settings tab, and you'll see right here, module title. That's the title that we saw, and we can change that text. You can make it be whatever you would like. A couple of suggestions. Keep it short. We don't want a sentence as our module title. There's no reason to have that much text on there. So keep it short. And also, people like to know that when they click on a menu item and they go to the page, they like to know that they're kind of in the same area that they expected to. So you want the module title to be very similar, if not the exact same thing as the page name. So this way people know, okay, I clicked on this link, yes, I landed to where I expected to be. So try to keep them either very similar or the same thing. So once I was satisfied with the module title and what it was, I would click Update. Here I'm going to click Cancel because I didn't make any changes at this point. So that's the module title. The other type of title we have is the actual page. It's the page name or the page title. That page name appears in these menus on the top. It appears down the side menus. And it also appears up here in the tabs. you can see this one is Keyano College, arrow, about us, and it's also right here, about us. When people bookmark a page in their browsers, that page name is what they see when they bookmark the page. So we want to keep the page name, again, 2 to 3 words, not much more than that. We don't want 4, 5, 6 words to be a page name. It just gets too long. So keep it short and sweet for page names. Like I said, 2 to 3 words. And the other thing we do not want to do for page names is use any acronyms. People outside the college do not know what your acronyms are. And, I was a great example when we were migrating the content. I emailed Renee so many times, what do these letters stand for? I have no idea where this section of the website is. So you have to think like you're outside of Keyano and use general language that everybody's going to understand. Like I know you abbreviate the Sports and Wellness Center, SSWC, which is great. You guys all know exactly what that is, but somebody outside of Keyano College has no idea what that means. So for page names, make sure that it's spelled out, that you don't use abbreviations, don't use acronyms, and also departmental names might not be the best choice for a page name. It's like, I'll use Con Ed, I know, is potentially changing their name to the School of something, something, something. Well, the general public, they could care less what your department is actually named. That when they search and look on your website, they're looking for Con Ed. And that's another thing you have to kind of think of is, how are people looking to find my information? Are they looking by the full official school name, or are they just looking Con Ed? Are they looking for trades? So you have to think outside of Keyano College and what the general public is going to call your particular page or department. So sometimes you have to do a little tweaking that you don't use those official names. Stay away from industry jargon. On college websites, we also want to stay away, I call it academic language. Just like you were having a conversation with somebody, use that type of language. Don't use the really high-end PhD academic language. It's just not what the general public is going to understand. So it's kind of a hard concept to do, but you just really have to think outside of your little box of Keyano. So let's look at page names. How do we change a page name? Say there's a page that's in your website that you think we just need to tweak that name or change it. I would go up to Pages, and I go to Page Settings. So under Page Settings is where we can control what the page name is. Like I said, keep in mind this is what shows up in the menu. So page name, again, this is the About Us page, so it just shows as About Us. So you could change it if you needed to. Page title, we should just leave it blank. That will automatically generate, and this is what the page title is. If it automatically generates, it comes out Keyano College, arrow, About Us, or Keyano College, arrow, academics, arrow, trades and industry. So it automatically generates that page title, and it puts keywords into the page title. So again, that helps search engine ranking. So I would suggest, unless there's a very specific reason for it, just leave page title blank so it automatically generates. The next 3 boxes are our search engine information. Your website, by default, has a description tag, and it has a set of keywords. These are very general keywords for Keyano College, just basic information. If you want to really work on your search engine ranking for your particular departments, you need to start going to each one of your pages and filling in the description and keywords for your pages. These will override those general Keyano College ones. So for Con Ed or for trades, that's going to become important so that your search engine ranking starts getting up. So for description, 1 to 2 sentences. And you could just leave that blank if you want to keep it the same as the Keyano College ones. That is what shows up in the Google search results. Think of if you go to Google and you search, you get that little, usually like a sentence or 2 about the page you're going to click on. That's the description tag. The keywords is what you really want to change in order to increase your department's search engine ranking. These keywords should be specific to the content that's on this page. So like I'm on the About Us page. So I would want to put words that were already in the content of this About Us page. So, the example we used is the music, dance, and art pages, better known as a conservatory. So for that area, just because that's a good example, for keywords, everybody's used to calling it conservatory. So conservatory should be one of your keywords. Art should be one, music should be one, dance, photography, Con Ed, Keyano College. So it's specific to that particular page. So you want keywords that appear in the text on the page you're working on. The next one we're going to look at is parent page. This is, in the beginning, it's kind of a strange concept to grasp. Your website, think of the structure. Right now I have your website printed out every page, and it covers 2 doors in my closet. So it's like attached to that. It's got a hierarchy, a tree structure, or think of your family genealogy structure. It's the same concepts. So in this gray bar, these are all parent pages, and they all have children underneath them. So About Us is a parent page. Governance is a child of About Us, but then governance has its own children. So it has the president's welcome, it has a mission mandate, college leadership. College leadership, or actually board of governors, its parent is governance, but yet it also has child pages. So there can be multiple layers of parents and children. So you just kind of got to look at the structure and figure out, okay, who's the parent of this page that I'm working on or creating. So that's kind of the parent page idea. Include in menu, do you want the page to show up in these drop-down menus or not? Most of the time the answer is yes. The only time on your website that we didn't show, we unchecked include in menu, is for all the programs. When we originally did this, the programs, there was like 50 plus programs, so as you can imagine that got really long and you had to scroll pretty far. So for all those program pages, we unchecked show in menu because we didn't need them showing up in here because it was just too cumbersome to navigate. On the Advanced Settings tab, and we scroll all the way to the bottom to Other Settings, we have some options with these pages. A few of you are using these options. Think of, you've got the menu, whether it's on the side or on the top, and you click on a menu item and it takes you to an external website, or it takes you directly to a PDF file. And I think we've done it with Con Ed. We've linked right to the course schedule catalog that you have. So you have the option with a page to have it show in your side menu, but yet go someplace else. So we'll use Con Ed for example. They have their side menu, but then it has course catalog listed there. It's not actually a page, it's just kind of a placeholder on the side menu, and when you click on it, it opens that PDF file. So it's an easier way for people to navigate instead of trying to hunt and look for the course catalog. You can do the same concept if you want an item on your side menu that goes to an external website. The Apply Now is a great example. So under Admissions, we have a menu item called Apply Now. When you click on it, it goes to Apply Alberta. So it's an external website. You could also do that for if you wanted a menu item on your side menu that went to another section within Keyano's website. We do this a lot for the current students section and the future students section. Those two sections pretty much have no pages. It's all links to other pages within your website. So like for future students, there's a link to courses. So there's a menu option for courses, and it just goes over to under academics and courses, or programs, it goes over to academics and programs. So you can create just kind of these placeholders in your menu that go other places. And to do that, under link URL, if we chose URL, that goes to an external website. If we chose page, it goes to a page on our website. If we chose file, that goes to, say, a PDF file. If you are choosing URL or file, just like we did when we were editing our pages and we chose target equals new window, we're also going to choose click here and say open link in a new browser window. So we never lose our website. It's always there even though they're going to an external site or a PDF file. So those are some settings that you can edit on all the pages. The next thing we're going to look at is creating a new page. So obviously we migrated everything that was currently on your website, but we're hoping that you will keep editing the site and adding new content. So how do you create a new page? The easiest way to create a new page is go to a page that already has the exact side menu that you want on this new page. So I'm going to say I want to create a new page. I will choose within the governance section. So I'm in the governance section. It has the right governance side menu. So I'm going to go up to pages and I'm going to choose copy. So now under page details, it'll look similar to what we were just looking at. So page name, again, put whatever page title you want. Just keep it, 2 to 3 words is usually the best. Parent page is already selected because I went to a page that had the right side menu on it. So if it wasn't the right parent page, you would just need to select the right parent page. I have the option of where do I want to insert this in the governance menu. I can choose to put it before or after any one of these pages, or I could just add it to the end. This is something that you can change later. This is just kind of an opportunity to order your pages the way you want it right now. I want it to show in the menu, so I'm leaving that clicked. Under copy page, this is the most important part, and this is fully documented in that user manual. The rule for copying pages, we talked about the top pane where that banner was. Top pane always gets referenced. The left pane where that side menu is, that always gets referenced. And the content pane, obviously we want something new. We're creating a new page, we want to start typing text from scratch. So that always stays new. Right here for the title, we have the option right now. I can change that module title to be whatever I want. Like I said, normally it's the same as the page name. You always can change it afterwards, but you have, it's kind of your first opportunity to change it. So I have that. If I was going to I'm creating a new page that I want to link to a PDF file, an external website, or another page within our site, this would be the opportunity to choose one of the appropriate options here. For this page, I'm not going to do that. I want this to be a page that I can sit down and start typing text on. So I'm just going to hit Add Page. And we now have our new page called Test. And you see it's in the middle of the menu where I chose. So it's on the side menu, and it's also in the main menu. Now all I would have to do is start editing content and put the new content in place. If you want to remove a page, so there's some of the stuff that, some departments we need to still do some cleanup work on, and we might be removing some of the pages. So obviously I don't want this test page floating out there. So I'm going to go to Pages, and I'm going to hit Delete. It's going to ask me, are you sure you want to do this? I say yes. And now that test page that we just created is gone. With deleting, nothing is truly gone when you hit delete. It actually goes into a recycle bin. So if you delete a page by accident and you want it back, we just have to restore it from the recycle bin. It takes all of about 10 seconds to do. So if you delete something and need it back, just let us know and we can easily restore and put it back in place. Same thing if you happen by accident to delete, say, this module here by just hitting delete, we can restore that back. So the key is if you delete something that you need back, just let us know and we can get it back for you. If by some chance things move around on the page, which we had happen yesterday, somebody was clicking and not watching where things were going. So let's say this about us, I'm just gonna stick it over there for a minute. Say you get to your website and something crazy is going on like this. You know, the About Us section obviously is in the wrong area that it should be. If you go over to this little call it plus sign, I can just choose where it should be. So in this case, that text should be in the content pane. So I'm just going to choose content pane, and it's going to move it back over to where it should be. So it's easy to move things around here. Questions?
A quick question for you.
Yes.
While people are doing this and it's accidentally moved to a different position, these changes are happening live, right?
Yes. Yes. If these happen to move to a different section, it is live. Yes. That's why I always stress, just check your work before you're done. Make sure everything is in the right place. And yeah, it's easy to move things back, but you have to just pay attention to what you're doing. So.
I think the key is you got to come back and check and see if those changes are changes that you want.
What I do when I'm working with editing these websites, I actually have two browsers open. So for me, I'm a Firefox person. So I've got Firefox open. I'm working in it, making my text changes. Once I've saved my changes, then I have Google Chrome open, and I have the website that's open. I just load that page I was just working on and make sure the changes are okay. So what my habit is, I've just always got two browsers open, one that I'm logged in editing, one that I'm not logged in, so then I can make sure that what I'm doing actually looks the way it should and nothing has moved around or anything. So that's just my work habit, but it seems to work for some people.
I do have one question.
Yes.
We have on our web page, we have this black banner.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make it so that one of the sections is smaller?
Which section are you?
It's on the employment opportunities.
The careers section?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you scroll down, you see how
That's actually not a banner, which is something on my to-do list.
oh, okay.
Yeah, there's actually
That's
titles in there that
exactly
should be
what
white. Yes.
Because what it's doing is making all the there's so much white space between the two that they're not. You know what I mean?
I mean, like right here?
Yeah, that.
We're actually going to add competition number in there too.
Oh, okay.
So that's, yeah.
Well,
This
that makes sense then.
Yeah, this unfortunately is one of those IE versus all other browser issues. And all other browsers, it's a light gray, and you can actually see the text. On IE, it's black, and you can't see anything.
Oh, okay.
So
There's actually titles up there.
Yes, there's actually titles. We had job
okay.
title and closing date. So I'm going to make that text white so that you guys can actually see it.
Okay.
That actually brings up a good point too. As you're making changes, there are slight differences within browsers. And unfortunately, we don't always have control over what each browser is doing and how they handle text. And Omar and I were just talking this morning about Internet Explorer coming out with IE10 and how it's wreaking havoc on some websites. So it's just stuff that we need to constantly adjust and deal with. If you run into an issue that it looks fine for you, but somebody else is saying it doesn't look okay, let us know, and we'll have to just tweak it a little bit so it looks okay on all browsers. And as new browsers come out, new problems come out, so we just always have to address those issues.
And my other one is, if you click on the contact HR,
Yes.
there's all link.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's there. It's not showing up here.
Not showing in your.
I don't see it.
Oh, let me check something.
Okay.
When good example of this, when we're creating pages, at times permissions get screwed up more or less. If you are logged out of the website and cannot see the section of text, but when you're logged in, you can see it. I'm going to go to settings. And I'm going to look at permissions. And you're correct. All users means general public. So in order for the public to see it, all users always needs to be checked.
Okay, and can you put it so that we can edit it?
Yes.
And why is there HR and HR careers?
Because there's at least one person in your department that only has access to post jobs.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it, makes sense, okay.
Yes. So I'm just going to hit update. It doesn't happen too often, but occasionally, especially when we're doing large migrations, the permissions don't always get the way they should be. So that is a very good example too. If you see something like that, that's where the problem is.
There you go.
And this is actually one of those pages I would suggest removing these email
Yeah.
addresses and linking their names going forward.
Well, and then when we were talking about it, I was like, oh, we need to add all this stuff in. So, yeah,
Yep.
I definitely will be on my top.
Yeah. Other questions? Nothing? No? Okay, well then I guess we'll end with that. A couple comments I will make. It's just please keep looking at your website. Now that you've had training, don't let it go for 2 weeks. You know, if you can go back today and even just spend a few minutes making even the most subtle of changes just so that you keep familiar with it. You know, every day just spending, 5-10 minutes, let me get back into the site, make another change, just make sure I remember how to do it. From what everyone has told me, after they do it 2 or 3 times, it just becomes old hat, and it's really easy that you can get in and make changes and get out within, a few minutes most of the time of, the minor changes that need to be done. What we've built into this website is just the tip of an iceberg with what you could potentially do. This is a very basic website at this point in time. There's so many features and functionality that could be added to the site, and so many options out there. And I will give you a website to look at of all the possibilities that are out there. There's event registration, there's photo galleries, there's e-commerce, pretty much anything you can think of, we could add into the website very easily. So give it some thought. How would you like to enhance your website? And let us know those ideas. We want to, in the next couple months, start adding features and functionality to this website. So we really want to hear from you guys. What do you want to do with it? We've copied it off. We've got this great foundation. Now let's start expanding on it from this point. So definitely, don't be afraid to ask for something that you have been dying to have on the website or saw on somebody else's website and would love to have that feature set up on yours. So definitely give it some thought. And if you guys need help reorganizing your website, we migrated for the most part it over as it was. So I know some of the sections could use some tweaking and some reorganization. We're happy to sit down with you and just look at all your pages and offer some suggestions of how things could be renamed or reorganized to make it easier for the end users going forward. So don't hesitate to ask questions. For those of you that I've talked to, you probably realize I'm online pretty much all the time, so don't hesitate to shoot me emails at nights or weekends, whenever you happen to be working on your website. Ask questions. I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to walk you through doing a particular process that you're unsure of. So don't hesitate to ask, and I hope that everything goes well. So if you have questions, let me know. I do have business cards up here if you